tonight's episode, The Brain of Morbius, a retelling of Frankenstein with everybody's favourite doctor, Tom Baker.
Come on! There are some interfering idiots.
This serial starts up with the Doctor and Sarah landing in a distant spaceship graveyard. There's a decapitated creature laying motionless nearby. The TARDIS has been drawn here without the Doctor's permission, and he was unable to stop it.
Do you think I don't know the difference between an internal fault and an external influence? Oh, no. There's something going on here, some dirty work they won't touch with their lily-white hands.
The dark studio lighting, off-putting atmospheric music, and tense tone set the pace for this horror-themed episode.
I mean, why should they all have crashed here?
I've no idea.
Well, I think you should take a look. Coming?
Yeah, thanks. Just gonna sit here and practice my double loops.
This story sets up some overacted caricatures who are obviously referencing the relationship between Dr. Frankenstein and his assistant Igor. They're on the hunt for a human head, and the Doctor and Sarah wander unknowingly into their presence. I say human head, but humanoid head. Obviously the Doctor's not a human. But they're after his head!
What a magnificent head.
What?
Superb head.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Solon, aka Dr. Frankenstein, drugs the Doctor, and the proceedings to remove his head commence. They're both over the top and dark.
We take head now. You put that away. This will be no crude butchery. A head such as this, a head that will soon command the universe, must be taken with care and skill.
Sarah escapes and attempts to save the Doctor from his fate when she comes across the mangled, mismatched body of a monster who's been sewn together from several dead creatures. I can imagine that when this episode first aired, broadcast at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that it would have traumatized some children. I mean, this monster is quite graphic. So the Sisterhood of the Karn make their first appearance in the serial. They will obviously go on to be a reoccurring element of Doctor Who canon. They teleport the Doctor, when he's been drugged, his body into their cave, and they're going to sacrifice him. And check out their little flame weapons that they're holding up against the Doctor. They're not very threatening.
What? You mean you still practice teleportation?
So the Sisterhood dance around for a little bit, and then they proceed to tie the Doctor to a pyre and light it on fire. Sarah manages to cut the Doctor free with a pair of secateurs that he had in his jacket pocket. Nobody sees her do this somehow, and then the Doctor and Sarah just run away in an anticlimactic manner. It's hard to take this story completely seriously, considering that our main antagonist is a brain in a jar. I mean, it's classic Who though. It's not boring, which is awesome. It's interesting. It's a bit silly. It can be a bit silly.
Where have you come from? Are you one of the Sisterhood?
No.
Did Marlin send you to destroy me?
No, of course not.
Yes, she did. Those shield devils want to destroy me.
So this brain in a jar is Morbius, a former Time Lord who crashed on this planet, destroying his body. Solon, his assistant, wants to put Morbius's brain in the Doctor's head so Morbius can return to his former glory and go on to be the powerful Time Lord that he is.
Morbius, his head is perfect for the purpose. Once I have it, we can begin our final operation.
If the head is suitable, why haven't you already started?
I think he suspects...
There are two of you!
Without all of the dry ice and really dark lighting, it's completely obvious that these rocks are plastic. Also, Sarah goes blind for a little bit in this serial. Oh man, check out how the sisterhood captures the Doctor in this scene.
Ding dong.
A tiny net. Oh man, I mean, it's so silly. I feel like he could have just run away even after he was netted, or just taken the net off. What shall we do, mistress? How shall we capture the Doctor? We shall throw a tiny net on him when he comes.
I see.
I mean, it's not the greatest plan ever, but it works.
I can't answer that question, Baron, until I know what Solon intends.
Oh, so we can take the tiny red net off. So you haven't trapped him, you've embarrassed him.
I see.
I feel like the actor who plays Condor and Philip Hinchcliffe, who fleshed out the script, could have done more to make his character more interesting. But he just comes off as a cheap, overplayed cliche in this episode. He's just Igor. Overacted and silly.
Master order. Find girl. Maybe kill him.
No, please don't, no!
So Condor turns against his master Solon, and Solon just shoots him. And there's like a blood spray and a gaping wound and everything. It's horribly violent for a kid's afternoon show, and to be honest, I really don't know how they got away with this level of violence. Especially in the 60s.
You say Kurosa!
In the ensuing struggle, Morbius's brain is knocked over and ends up falling on the floor. This shit is only a laugh track away from being a comedy, eh? It's great, I love it. So then Solon picks Morbius's brain up off the floor. He doesn't even wipe the dirt off of it. And he attaches it to that mismatched alien body monster, and Morbius comes alive. He really is aesthetically speaking, creepy, intimidating villain. It's probably one of the best achieved practical effects in classic Who. I mean, it looks great. It's intimidating, violent, and twisted and odd. And you can't even see the zipper.
I can see again!
Then Morbius goes mad and kills Solon by hugging him. Check it out. Actually, I don't think he dies here. I think he comes back later on. There are a lot of twists and turns in this episode. Anyway, he hugs him and he just falls down. I don't know why.
Don't you recognize me? I made you!
And then Condor comes back. He didn't die from that massive wound to the chest and all the blood loss. Check out his death scene. The actor doesn't do a great job. Sarah has a really hard time in this serial. She keeps on stumbling into situations where she's attacked or hurt, or her hair's pulled, or she's blinded, or she falls downstairs. I feel for her.
I don't think...
I've gone blind!
This zoom in is effective. I love it. It's a bit shaky, and it kind of comes out of the blue. I don't know why it's in there, but it's great, and I love it.
Hydrogen plants are all built to the same basic design, the Scott-Bailey principle. I've got an idea.
The pacing for the serial is quite quick. It's only a 4-parter, and there's always twists and turns in the narrative. You always kept guessing, and something's always happening. It lacks the dull slowness of some classic Who serials. So the conclusion of this serial is a battle between the Doctor and Morbius in a mind-bending competition. I like this conclusion. It's interesting and different, you know? He doesn't just shoot him or strangle him or something. They try to do something different. And then of course, because they have to, Morbius just falls off a cliff, which is kind of a cliche, but hey, at least the special effects still hold up 40 years later. In conclusion, this serial is interesting, silly, it's funny, it's corny, it's dark, it's serious, it's well executed, it's entertaining, it's not slow, it moves real quick, there's always stuff happening. Tom and Sarah, or Tom and Elisabeth I should say, are on point as always. The villain is great, you get enough laughs even if they're unintended. And it's probably one of the best Classic Who serials of all time. I actually think if you're new to Classic Who, this serial will be a great jumping in point. It's only a 4-parter, so just jump in, give it a watch if you're interested in Classic Who and you've never watched it. This is great. Greatest era of Doctor Who in my opinion, and an amazing serial.
Brain getting a little overheated, is it? Careful, not as strong as it was.
My brain functions perfectly.
Doubt it, Morbius.
Thank you for watching, and it really helped out if you like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me how I got all the facts wrong, and how my opinion is null and void. Thank you, and good night.